We here?
Are we here?
Are we here?
I don't know.
Are you here?
I don't know. Are you here?
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Welcome, good evening, and welcome again to tonight's preview stream of the West Coast Mainline Trent Valley, Milton Keynes to Crewe preview stream. I can hear myself through Discord, so I'm going to mute Discord real quick. There you go. That's much better. Let me start again. Hello, everyone. Good night, and welcome to the preview stream for the West Coast Mainline, Trent Valley, Milton Keynes to Crewe preview stream. Joining me tonight are executive producer Matt and our special guest from All About Studios, director Dan. Say hello, guys.
Hello.
Evening, everyone.
We have a very exciting stream for you prepared tonight, but before we get to the good stuff, we do have to do some admin, as always. Everybody loves it. And it's going to be a short one, I promise. All I wanted to do is give you a quick reminder that the PlayStation Days of Play sale is still ongoing until June 10th, and you can get some very good deals on Train Sim World add-ons. So if you're looking to complete your collection, make sure to check that out. And with that out of the way, Matt, could you show us the beautiful footage?
Absolutely. You may find that you don't get the echo now, by the way, Jan, because
Okay.
I may have left the stream running unmuted on my PC. So
All good.
if you can double check, we'll make sure that you don't get that now. But awesome. Right, okay. So we are here looking at West Coast Mainline, and we obviously have Dan with us as well. So let me switch over to the game, because I imagine you want to see the game, not our lovely, beautiful faces. Let's go for Milton Keynes. Right, Dan, scenarios, without giving any of these secrets and spoilers. Talk us through what we've got to look forward to in the scenarios.
Well, the lengthy ones to start with, obviously big route. Obviously it's been well documented, 108 miles end to end. So we found it hard to utilise the whole route at times for scenarios. If anything, we had to call them back because some were over 2 hours. So yeah, that'll take a bit of time. Generally between 55 minutes an hour and hour and a half, using the 350-4 and the 807. You've got 5 in total in terms of normal services, and then you've got a dispatcher scenario and also a kind of introduction to the route as well in there as well. So there's kind of 5 core ones. A wayfinder, and then a dispatcher one as well. They all they're very similar to other scenarios we've done in the past. Obviously focusing on conditions on that part of the railway, the weather, general operational work, stuff that you wouldn't get day to day on the timetable. We obviously do also utilise the bidirectional, which we have between Lichfield and Rugby. So we utilise that in there as well. So yeah, we try and utilise the part of the network that we got really. So I won't go into each one, other than the fact that they are quite long. But other than that, they're very similar to what we've produced before. And obviously you've got 2 different trains to utilise as well through them.
Awesome. Right, okay. So let's have a look at the timetable then. So do you want to just talk us through timetables and what the philosophy is there?
Yeah, so timetables, we obviously learned a lot of our lessons from our first 2 releases. Obviously, we have, tried to release on big routes, busy timetables, lots of trains, which has been a real challenge. And we learned a lot of lessons from Birmingham to Crewe and the 805. So we did it from the start up this time. We've done 2 timetables. Naturally, what everybody sees as a full timetable and a reduced timetable. It's not aimed at any particular type of players or consoles. It's there to try and help the player have the best experience possible when playing. So obviously the full timetable, that contains every service that we can possibly put in, through freight to ECSs, through to express and stopping. Obviously the reduced carries the same. We've done very similar to what we've done on the 805 timetable, in the fact that we've tried to keep the same number of playable services as much as possible. I think it's 470 against 402. Yep. So not a huge drastic experience. Your Pendolinos and your Revero fleet and your 350s are kind of unaltered really. The differences mainly are a couple of bits and pieces between Crewe and Stafford, which you can obviously do on Birmingham to Crewe, and then also freight as well. That's also missing off there because that takes up quite a number of formations, and that's always a big memory texture saver as well. We've also tried to optimize things in the way that we've used just one 350 rather than 4 different types of 350 on the full timetable. And we tried to do it like so. We tried to create a timetable which we believe is a lot more optimized. Still a real good number of services on there, and then you've got your full timetable, which is everything under the sun. Like I said, your Northern 323 doing ECS10 to Wolverton, all of those. Your ROG service. So that's where we've really tried to add everything in the players would want. We've just created the other one so that if players need to get a more optimized performance on their system, then that's obviously there to help them. You've obviously got the layers feature, so some people would rather do the full timetable and perhaps play with some of the layers. We've obviously got the general settings for it as well. So we've just tried to give as much as we can from the offset, so that players can kind of adapt and play what they deem is best. And we've seen that with the 805. Some players are doing really well on the full. Some have preferred to go to the reduced and have a more full timetable and not have to affect their settings. So yeah, we just try to give a few options really. So that's the difference between the two of them really.
No, that's really good. I mean, well, one thing to bear in mind, the difference between the two timetables and the layers option. So you could say, well, could you just take this one, turn the appropriate layers off, and end up equivalently there? No, because this one's been more custom tailored. Like for example, as Dan was saying, you've got the single type of 350 being used, but also even if you turn the layer off, the whole timetable itself is still in memory. Whereas on the reduced one, you actually have less in memory in that front. So if you're struggling with memory, then use the reduced one. If you're not struggling with memory, then use the full one, and you'd use layers to improve frame rate, if anything. But we're going to be running on Xbox Series X later with the full timetable. So I would probably suggest, I don't know if you agree with me, Dan, but I would suggest Series S probably should be using the reduced timetable.
Yeah, obviously Series S is generally the one that we've spent a bit more time trying to get the right one, and the reduced one is based around the Series S kind of performance, because as we know it's the one that's struggled the most so far. So we have used Series S to try and base the reduced one. So anybody else can play the reduced one. People on PC can play the reduced one as well if they're not getting the FPS that they want, etc. as well. But yeah, we've used Series S basically as a platform to base it off.
Cool. So this is your list of trains. We've got 28 on the 807, a couple on the Sprinters, a little obviously ancillary services that are around the periphery. 40 on that one, 38, 80, and 17. 37, you've got 2 services. The 390's got 87, so the Pendolino's busy. Another probably one of the longest, best runs for the Pendolino on this route, as I would have thought, Dan, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got really good variation as well. So it might actually be a really good opportunity if you click on the Pendolino to show what we've done as well, Matt. So if you just click on either the -0 or the -1, something that Kieran's worked really hard on is if you click on any of the services, you'll notice we've given a call in that as well. There's so many different stopping patterns with places like Rugby, Nuneaton, Lichfield, Tamworth, and Stafford, that actually it's hard to know what you would be stopping at. Obviously, you've got some services that go express from Crewe to Milton Keynes, others that do stoppers, so more stopping style services. So what Kieran's worked hard to do is also make sure that we've got the call in at, so that you know what stops there are in there, just so that players can pick the exact service that they really want.
Yeah. Sorry, someone's just asked, does the Series S have access to the full timetable? It does, doesn't it? But obviously...
I mean, I don't own a Series S for me to check, but it should do. If it doesn't, then
but you may run into problems
because
of the reduced memory on the Series S. But it's there for you to try.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that's cool. I love that calling that stuff. That's we should probably put that in the base game, shouldn't we? Really. So that's the timetable for this one. Obviously, you've got a bunch of layers that you can pick, turn on and off as well, for all the different things that are on here, of which there is a lots and lots. I'll let you frame by frame that one at your own time. Right, okay, I think we've looked at the menu for long enough. We probably should try and actually get into the game now. So we are going to run 2 uniform 21 350 /4.
Yes, that's correct.
221. Right. Pop it into custom weather. No fog. All right, no fog, folks.
We tried to pick the only service that stops at Polesworth as well. There's only one train a day that stops at Polesworth, so we thought we'd pick that one.
Seeing people asking for the price. It's going to be available for 32.99 British pounds, 39.99 euros, and 44.99 US dollars.
FPS is in the top right corner. I've got a keyboard on my Xbox, and when we do the Xbox, you'll see FPS on there as well. I think Steam is doing the FPS indicator for this one. Have a quick look at the map while we've got 30 seconds. We'll look at the map again, don't panic. But big, never-ending route.
Yeah, this is actually the longest UK end-to-end route now. Is that right? Yeah, 108 miles. That's the longest UK route we have now in Trains and World.
A PS4 wouldn't have a hope of running this, I'm afraid, Rail Rush. It's not just about the timetable. This many miles of track, that takes up a ton of memory as well.
Crewe was the big one for the Gen 8, it was the track.
Yeah.
So just while you're about to go through this bit, Matt, I think it might be worth just staying quiet for us for a minute or two, because I think people have realised that something that we haven't told everybody, which is we have redone all of the sounds on the 350 as well.
Oh, very cool. Amazdays. This is, this should be there or thereabouts, the public release build. Yeah, I'm on the what we call the RC shipping branch, which is the one that we copied to go live. And I'm not expecting to be any more builds at this point.
Sounds, but Dan, do you want to talk about the new sounds, how you worked on them, and how you reworked them?
Yeah, so it is a totally new set of audio that Sam went and recorded from the 350s. It's not fully replaced. We've kept some audio that was still quite good. Obviously, people will have picked up. There's a few new static sounds that. I mean, the 350 originally was completely silent, idle. So there's a few new bits of audio in there. The running sounds, the motor sounds, there's a few other bits and pieces that have mainly been retweaked, and I think the general layout of the audio has been redone by Sam. So yeah, there's lots of new audio elements in there from a 350 recording that we did a couple of months ago. But yeah, just reworked in essence.
I think across the plan for tonight's scenarios or services, we're going to be sort of covering the whole route in bits and looking at different areas, aren't we, Dan?
Yeah, we didn't just want to keep doing. I mean, it's an hour and a half. It's an hour and 37 minutes in a 350 from Milton Keynes to Crewe, and it's an hour and 10 minutes in an 807. So we didn't want to just keep going up and down in the new trains. We want to do a bit of everything. So this is one of the longer runs we're going to do up to Crewe. And then we're going to do, I think, a bit of 807. We've got a small bit of freight at Durft, and we've got a Pendolino run planned, which is the one that we've got planned for the Xbox.
Yeah, that's quite fun, that one. Lewis Ratcliffe will be running on Xbox in the last service, the 390 service, so you can see for yourself. George, as Dan was just saying, probably the majority of the testing towards the end has been done on Series S. Outside of testing, Dan, which has obviously been the hardest bit of making the route, what's been the hardest bit of making the route?
Oh, again, it depends who you're asking the team. I mean, you know, for me, I mean, I do the signalling. You know, 108 miles of signalling, bi-directional. You know, they're all different types as well. It has been a nightmare. OLE, I mean, the sheer amount of OLE on this route is incredible. But then you know, you look at the rest of it. You know, I mean, there's over 150 custom overbridges alone. So, you know, the lineside artists would probably say bridges. So, it's hard, really. I don't think there's any one aspect. I think pulling together a route of this colossal size in itself is probably the big challenge. I think the big one is that everyone spent such a long time on it, and it by the end of it, I think everybody was absolutely exhausted. So I really do think that the sheer length of it and pulling it all together was probably the biggest challenge, and trying to keep people's momentum.
Yeah.
I'd probably say is probably the one. So
Yeah, it's
Can
very.
I-
Go on, sorry.
Sorry, man. No, go ahead.
Oh no, don't worry, you go.
Okay. Can I just ask? Obviously, you before Trent Valley, you've done the Birmingham Crewe route. What is it about the West Coast Mainline that drew you back into to that part again?
So I mean, I you know, West Coast Mainline is my neck of the woods, really. I'm a black country boy from birth, so that's one of the big reasons we started it. It was a route that I'd started many years ago, so it made sense for us to progress it. Trent Valley, I still don't really know what made us do Trent Valley. I can't even blame one of Kieran's wacky ideas. Which is, you know, the 805 and the 70, they were his ideas. So I can't even remember what made us do it. We were having a look on the forums, and a lot of people really wanted more. They wanted either Birmingham Milton Keynes or they wanted Trent Valley, and we felt Birmingham Milton Keynes was too similar to Birmingham to Crewe, and we wanted to do something a bit different. We also wanted to give the players something a bit different. We don't think there's much out there like Trent Valley. You know, it is 108 miles. It's not a plethora of stations. 11 in total, not huge. You know, it's one every 10 miles on average. That's quite a big gap. So it gave you an experience doing something different. We felt. You know, I mean, Matt's just had what a 10-15 minute 110 mile an hour run in the 350. There's not. And then for the next 40 minutes, he's going to keep stopping every 5 minutes. And we didn't think there was too many routes that would give that level experience. It's quite a unique part of the West Coast Mainline, I think, this section. So we just thought it was a bit different. People seem to really want more West Coast Mainline. When everyone guessed it was Crewe when we first did the sneak peek, what was it, about 15 months ago now, everyone seemed really excited about West Coast Mainline. So but yeah, we thought this route would give a great potential. And you know, also the route hopping feature, and we saw that with the 805. People really like driving a service and then carrying it on. Well, this route, you can really do that now. You can drive from Euston to Milton Keynes and then drive up, you know, route hop and continue it to Crewe. Again, there's not really many routes out there that you can do that on at the minute. So yeah, that's there's no more West Coast Mainline, no, Jan, before you ask that question.
I think that's a very good reason to do it. You know, if you have a passion for a certain part, especially if it's, you know, your neck of the woods, absolutely makes sense.
So it might be worth pointing out, Matt, while we're at Nuneaton, obviously one of the biggest stations on the route. You obviously got all of the AI traffic here as well. We've got the 170s sat in doing the kind of Coventry, Leamington services. You've got the cross-country ones over in 6 and 7 to like Leicester and Stansted, and then obviously you've got the main West Coast Mainline platforms right through the centre, the fast lines through the centre, the slow lines on the outer. So it is a good place to come, and I know lots of people try and find somewhere to do some spotting. Nuneaton's a good one. Plenty of freight comes through Nuneaton as well. So
Euston.
For your own safety, you are reminded to stand behind the yellow line.
I must say, I do quite enjoy driving the 350. It's really responsive. It just makes it quite fun, and it's got a ridiculously short stopping distance.
Yeah, so Kieran's favourite train, the 350. He has obviously taken on a bit of feedback as well from the previous ones. I know he's done some additional work on this 350. One of which hopefully you're going to see him play. Actually, I just fear, how many cars are you, Matt? Are you just 4 cars? Are you?
Just 4, yeah.
Oh yeah, oh great, a feature we can't actually show you. So one feature that he's brought in, obviously, that's quite required on the Trent Valley lines is a lot, because a lot of the units are 8-car units. So Polesworth, Atherstone and Rugeley can only hold one 350. I think Rugeley going to do like 5 cars, but obviously the way that the doors open on the 350, it's based on units, so it's UDS. So he has created a kind of working UDS system. It does require you to stop in the right places on the platforms, so you do have to stop at the 4 car stop, your UDS stop at the platforms. But if you do that at places like Polesworth, Atherstone and Rugeley, then just the front unit will open the doors, and that's AI, and if you're driving the train as well. So that was a new feature that we brought in for the 350-4. Also done other work to rework the suspension on the -4, obviously on top of the audio. We've added a new train fault as well to the -4. There's a TPWS breaker trip.
Good. Good.
A few other bits and pieces. The front panel has had some modifications, so that it reflects the -4, because obviously the cabin in the -4 is slightly different to the others, and I know that was one of the things people picked up, but we didn't quite fully get the cab correct on the Birmingham to Crewe variation, so we did manage to get a lot more source for the -4, so we have made the modifications to the actual the cab model to suit the -4.
Something that I personally, and this is purely due to my, German sensibilities, that I could never get used to, is like the small windscreen of some of the UK locos. Can someone tell me what's up with that? Like, what? Obviously, the driver only needs to see the signal to be able to drive, but
it's more about the
why?
necessity for corridor connection, and that fundamentally limits how big the window can be. They did try to make it bigger on the 385 by curving it round, but then they had a major problem in the curving was making the signals double up. Sometimes you'd see it like in 2 different places, So they had, if you look at them, the latest, the 385s that are out now, they've all got flat screen windows on the front rather than having the curved one. So, but yeah, it is kind of it's very, you don't get to gaze out. You can't beat driving a Class 52 and the virtual greenhouse that you've got to look out of. But it is all you need. But yeah, it's the need for the corridor connection that drives it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
For your own safety, you are reminded to stand behind the yellow line.
Off to Polesworth. London Transport Clips will be driving a service on the Xbox later.
Question from the chat saying the new 350 sounds sound great. Any chance of them for them to be ported to the other 350 versions?
There's no plans to at the minute to do that. Not saying no, but we don't have any plans to at the minute. The problem is we whilst not all of the audio is brand new, Sam has kind of completely rejigged to try and optimize it in terms of audio channel uses, etc. I know he worked with some of the audio engineers within Dovetail to try and optimize them as well. So it isn't as simple as just replacing some files. It kind of is the whole audio logic.
Yeah, thank you.
Jimmy Noit, the 390 hasn't had any changes to it at all, as far as I'm aware. There's been some optimisation, actually, to be fair. Kieran and the team did some optimisation work on the 390, but there's no changes to audio. Aviation train lover, the GSMR is sort of the normal way GSMR is done, not the Medway Valley way of doing it.
We have received a number of questions from our community, which I'll try to pepper in throughout the stream. I'm just gonna be quiet now to hear the announcements while we're at the stations, but after that I'll share some of them.
Platform for the 0648 London North Western Railway service to Crewe, calling at Tamworth, Lichfield, Trent Valley, Rugeley, Trent Valley, Stafford, and Crewe. The train at platform is the 0648 London North Western Railway service to Crewe, calling at Lichfield, Trent Valley, Rugeley, Trent Valley, Stafford, and Crewe. Will passengers intending to travel on this service please join the train now, as it is ready to leave. Platform for the 06 service to Crewe, which is ready to leave.
Least interesting station to look at, this one.
Let's go to Tamworth and have a look at that then.
Welcome aboard this London North Western Railway service to Crewe. Will be calling at Tamworth, Lichfield, Trent Valley, Rugeley, Trent Valley, Stafford, and Crewe. Please familiarise yourself with the safety notices displayed throughout the train.
I'm gonna dive into some of the questions we've received on our forums. I'm also gonna keep an eye on the chat. And thank you, Dan, for providing answers to these questions. Feel free to add any more any more insights if you think that's necessary. But I'm going to start with some of the shorter ones. And one of them was, does the 807 have speed set? And the answer is yes, via the TMS, like it is in real life.
Yeah, there are shortcut keys as well, which we can provide for people. But yeah, it can be set by the TMS system, like I said, as per in real life. So that was a big request on the 805. So it's one that Kieran's worked hard to get in on the 807.
I seem to recall him talking about that when the 805 came out. He was talking about working on speed set functionality.
He was actually working on it for the 807. He couldn't get it to work on the 805, and then after the 805 was coming out, he found a way to do it. So it was trialing it on the 807 because the 805 was already going for a release. He didn't have it fully working. Trust me, it took him a few attempts, but yeah, he finally got it working on the 807.
Right, another question we got on the forums was, does the route have working neutral sections? And so that is also yes for trains that use the feature.
Yeah, so neutral sections need two things. They need the track to have the neutral section set up, and they need the train to have it set up as well. So, for example, I don't believe the Pendolinos have neutral sections set up on them, but we've set it up on all of our trains, so things like the 807, 805, 350-4 neutral sections should all function as per in real life. So I think there's about 7 on the route, maybe 6, I can't remember from the top of my head now, from Crewe down to Milton Keynes.
Another question we got, and I'm gonna rely on your local expertise here, because I like the insights here, was, is the track to Rugby cement in place and usable? And the answer being yes.
Yeah, there's a siding road off at Rugby, I think it's the southwest, down to the cement works. I don't believe there's any workable services in the timetable as yet, but there are some planned. Hint. I won't say any more than that.
I do appreciate you explaining what rugby cement is for any potential people that might not be aware. Just any hypothetical, I don't know. Let's just pretend like that would be me.
may be removed without warning or destroyed or damaged by the security services.
You do get the cross-country services up here, up the upper level. Get both Voyagers and the 170s.
Welcome aboard this London North Western Railway service to Crewe. We'll be calling at Lichfield, Trent Valley, Rugeley, Trent Valley, Stafford and Crewe. Please familiarise yourself with the safety notices displayed throughout the train.
Oh, overtaken.
I was gonna say, I've seen a few comments about AI. People do just need to remember it is almost 7 o'clock in the morning, so Trent Valley isn't the busiest at 7 AM because services are still coming down from places like Manchester, Liverpool, Glasgow, and obviously coming up from London as well, so it will start getting busier now. We haven't picked this service so that there's less AI. That is not what we've done. We've picked services throughout the day on all of them. I think the 807 is about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I think the Pendolino service map that we did shows, I think that was more later on, I think, more evening time.
Yeah.
So, and the freight one as well is in the middle of the day as well. So they are all over the place. So for anybody panicking that we're just showing 7 o'clock in the morning, we purely picked it because we wanted to start at Rugby, and this was the 350 that started at Rugby. So
I think we also wanted one that stopped at Polworth, didn't you?
yeah, it's the only one that stops at Polesworth for the day, so we wanted to stop there as well so that people could see that. So it's the only reason we picked this one. So
We have a good mix of services prepared for you today, so
yeah.
we just got started. Don't worry, guys. I've seen some questions in chat, and we got some general questions on the forum as well regarding route hopping. Is that something you wanted to talk about a little bit? Because you can route hop to other routes on the West Coast Mainline.
Yeah, so obviously there's quite a few route hop locations on the route. Obviously Milton Keynes, and we've done the work on Euston Milton Keynes to add it in at Milton Keynes too, so you can do it vice versa each way. And then along the route you've then got Lichfield Trent Valley, so that you can route hop onto Cross City. Again, we put it on the Cross City route as well, so if you're driving Cross City you can then route hop onto Trent Valley. And then Stafford for Birmingham to Crewe, and then Crewe as well also has a Birmingham to Crewe route hop, so you can change either of those. And then we also worked with Just Trains for their up-and-coming route, Crewe Preston. No, it is not a TARDIS, before somebody asks. We thought that the people at the BBC might have something to say about that. So, but there is a route hop capability at Crewe, which will take you onto Crewe Preston as well. So for those people that are happy with the different eras and want to drive all the way up to Carlisle from Euston for route hop functioning, it is all there in place.
I would have liked some, legally distinct kind of TARDIS.
A red
That would be
telephone
nice,
box.
but yeah, better not to poke the bear and risk.
We are now approaching Lichfield, Trent Valley.
Chronicle Toxic. When I was playing on the Pendolino earlier on the Xbox, I got a TSR, so yeah, they're definitely on there.
Only thing with route hops, obviously, they need obviously the updates on the other routes to come out. I believe, Jan, some of those may already have come out, others may be coming out on the next core patch. So if they're not there on release, they have been done.
Yeah, we're gonna share some news on that very soon. I know Alex has been working on that, and you can expect the roadmap next week as well. So keep an eye out for any infos on further plans for those patches.
Cross over here with the Birmingham Cross City route. CK Sim Gaming, if you get a pacer up to 88 miles an hour, you get a free ticket to a physio.
Great Scott.
Welcome aboard this London Northwestern Railway service to Crewe. We'll be calling at Crewe, Trent Valley, Stafford and Crewe. Please familiarise yourself with the safety notices displayed throughout the train.
We got a question specifically for the Kilsby tunnel, asking if it's gonna feature the iconic architecture. I'm not familiar with that, but yeah. Is that something we're...
Yeah, it's got two very large ventilation shafts. Quite a long tunnel, I think it's maybe a mile and a half long, and it's got two ventilation shafts in it. Quite large ones that you on the exterior, like from the top side, they stand out quite considerably. So, so yes, it is the whole tunnel is its own model done by Nick. So yeah, and obviously everything else in it as well. So the ventilation shafts, because there's a signal as well in each direction, one at each ventilation shaft as well. So. And potentially some hidden collectibles within Kilsby Tunnel as well. So.
Uh-huh.
That's how you turn your interior lighting on for the person that asked. Mr. TV, are you referring to using the free roam commands to spawn?
Roadmap is planned for next week. I think that's as far as I am comfortable to go.
I'll look into that, Mr. Tibby, and find out. There was a change made to try and optimise and get rid of duplication on the menu, but I think it's got rid of too much. So it may well be related to that. But yeah, I'll have a look at that. Jan, can you do me a favour and ping me a Teams just to remind me to look into the GBR 802 not being selectable on Riviera?
Yeah, I'm sending you a message now.
Or on any route, to be honest.
Was that just you said in free roam, or was that generally?
Free roam.
Okay.
He's saying every time he spawns a GBR train, the GWR pulls into the platform. Which doesn't sound ideal.
Yeah. I pinged you over a message.
Thank you. That sounds fantastic, Cameron Bowden. Good luck with your revision and your exams. Whatever it is, I'm just about keeping pace with it.
I mean, I would say that's the ideal way.
We are now approaching Crewe Trent Valley. Please mind the gap leaving the train and step onto the platform before removing heavy luggage and pushchairs.
Those asking about roadmap dates, I'm not gonna give you a date. It's likely to be released next week. That's all the information you're gonna get tonight, folks.
Platform
Oh, look at you, on the dot.
Northwestern Railway service to Crewe, calling at Stafford and Crewe.
by me actually since coming here. We do have, so Trent Valley's recently been re-signalled, and we have done it in the re-signalling as well, so it's not, it is as up to date as we could possibly get it, the signalling.
I had a question on the forums that kind of ties into that. Obviously, you this is, as you mentioned, set in modern times. Like is it set in 26 then?
Yeah, 25 basically. Obviously, we started the route last June, July. So yeah, it's based on 2025 really. The timetable is November 2025. It was due to match with the Avero timetables, but then Avanti went and released a load of new services in September, which we thought players would really want to play. So we then decided to do the timetable and update it as of the November version.
Nice. Is that then the reason you chose that time period?
Yeah, it all depends on like the data we get as well. What signalling data, etc. But the other reason we did it, obviously, with the Avera fleet being included, is they've just released the new increased speeds. So when Matt's driving the 807 on the next journey we do, you'll note that a lot of the speeds he drives under are MU speeds. So they've recently incorporated new MU speeds along lots of the parts of the West Coast Mainline for the Avero fleet. Otherwise, the 807 and 805 would be limited to 110 max really. So there are a couple of areas where they get up to into the 120s along the route. But I will say for people driving at the 807 and 805, MU speeds change constantly. So for anybody trying to learn the route hoodless, good luck. There's a lot of speed changes if you're driving under MU.
Does this route feature temporary temporary speed restrictions or TSRs?
Yeah, it carries all of the core features, so everything that comes with a route as normal, TSRs, etc. They're all in there.
Yeah. There you go, Willie. Another question we got from the forums that I could use your insights on then was how will services that skip stops or don't call at MKC or Crewe be represented? And from what I understood from your answers, you essentially split them up, right? So you have 3 different ways in how you handle that.
Yeah, so it's a really good question because obviously there's varying stopping patterns. I think the Manchester services are the one to focus on to explain what we've done. So there's a couple of 3 an hour that come out of Euston. One stops, I think, first at Rugby maybe. One's first stops at Nuneaton. The first stop maybe Stafford for the other, from memory. I did have a nice little chart I think I sent you, Jan, and I'm trying to remember where I put it again now. So what we did is we sat there and had a look through all of the services, and we had a look at their stopping patterns, and we also then compared this to the Birmingham to the 8:05 at Euston Milton Keynes timetable, and we had a look at driving it from Euston to Milton Keynes, route hopping, and what we do best. If we just stop every single service, there's not going to be any fast services through Milton Keynes, which we didn't think players would like. But at the same time, we also have a lot of services not stopping, so it's going to remove a lot of playability. So what we've done is on I think 3 services that don't stop at Milton Keynes, they now make what we refer to as fake stops in game. They will just look like normal stops. Anybody that wants to sit there and compare them to the working timetable, real life working timetable, you'll notice that they don't stop there. So that's what we call fake stops. So I think the Manchester train that goes via Stoke stops at Nuneaton is a perfect example. Its first stop is at Nuneaton, so we've now stopped that train at Milton Keynes. And it's the same on Euston Milton Keynes. You'll see it will stop at Milton Keynes and then Nuneaton and then onwards to Stoke. And it's the same on Trent Valley. So you'll be able to drive it to Milton Keynes, pick it up at Milton Keynes on Trent Valley, and drive it to Nuneaton. So that's how we've dealt with it. That's an example. What we haven't done is we haven't affected trains to places like Birmingham. So where the first stop is Coventry, we haven't. That stays as AI Express all the way through. So still features, but then is Express all the way through in the full timetable. And then trains that go to Glasgow, and the first stop is Warrington. Again, that train is AI all the way through. And that's on the Euston Milton Keynes 8:05 timetable, and it's on this Trent Valley timetable. So we've tried to keep a couple of expresses in there that go all the way through as AI, but we've also tried to give as much playability as possible, especially because of the differing stopping patterns, utilising Rugby, Nuneaton, and then places like Tamworth and Lichfield. So there's a few more. I could talk through all of them, but we're here for the next 5 or 10 minutes. But in essence, there's a couple of fake stops for some of the services to try and give as many of the services to be playable as possible, and that correlates between the 8:05 timetable and the Trent Valley timetable. Hope that explains, Jan, that question.
Yeah, it explains it beautifully. Thank you. In a similar vein, we had questions about Northampton, which is not included. I think it was Old Wern asking how services would be handled that usually would go through Northampton.
Yeah, so the short loop of 20 odd miles that's not in. So yeah, we'll address the Northampton point while we're on it. Obviously, Northampton isn't included. We only originally planned to go to Rugby, so we already extended the route 32 miles to go to Milton Keynes, which is already a hell of an extension. I mean, that extension alone would make it like the third longest British route in the last 18 months alone. So it was already a big extension to add on to our original plan, and we did it to try and give players that continuing experience from Euston up to the rest of the West Coast Mainline. Even better that we've been able to work with JT and get that route hopping function, so that you can go all the way up to Carlisle. So fundamentally, off the Trent Valley, nothing really goes via Northampton in terms of passenger services. I think the first train of the day from Northampton is a Trent Valley service, and I think one of the last services of the day goes to Northampton. Other than that, all of the Avanti goes via the fast lines, via Weedon, and even the services from Crewe to Euston, the 350s, they go the fast lines now. They used to go the slow lines many years ago, but now they go the fast lines. So it's only really freight. So we did look at it, and we thought, and both myself, Shannon and Kieran debated it long and hard, and we just didn't think it was necessary. A freight run from Durft, a natural start and end point for freight, is there. There's not many routes where you get a natural start and end point at both ends of the route. This is the route where you get that in Durft and Basford Hall. I think that drive is generally about an hour and 40, hour and 45 already from Durft to Basford Hall. So it is a big drive in a 66, or another freight loco. And we didn't really think that we needed to go and add another hour on to Milton Keynes. We didn't think that Milton Keynes would be a natural start point, where we thought Daventry was more of a natural start point. So from a freight perspective, we felt Daventry was by far the best place, and from a passenger perspective, there's nothing that comes off the Trent Valley really that goes that way. And like I said, we're only adding another 25 miles onto a 108-mile route, so we've got to be sensible about what we add on as well. It's already a very ambitious project. So multitude of reasons really on the Northampton one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. Thank you, Dan.
Please familiarize yourself with the safety notices displayed throughout the train.
Chronicle Toxic, what is your question? Sorry.
I asked earlier why you came back to West Coast Mainline, but another question we got on the forums as well was what makes this route, what makes Trent Valley stand out compared to the other West Coast Mainline routes?
I mean, first of all, length. I mean, 108 miles, and I know everyone's probably sick to death of hearing 108 miles. I am. So it is a very long route. There's a lot of variety you can do on it. You know, you've got your Riviera fleet, your 390, your 350s. You've got a variety of ECSs, like I said, you've got the ROG in the 37 ROG, 323. Like I said, there's a 153 which we saw coming out of Stafford just that's going to Barton. So you'll turn off at Lichfield. Services down to Wolverton Works. You know, like I said, the freight stuff coming out of Durft, the shunting. So Kieran's got it so that you can do some shunting around at Durft as well. So there's a huge variety to do on the route. You know, you can drive at full pelt 125 miles an hour for an hour. It's not very often you can drive that kind of speed for such a duration. But then at the same time, there's also other things you can do. Like, so you can drive a freight for a very long duration of time. You know, on Birmingham to Crewe, for example, the one part of the West Coast Mainline, whilst it was a fantastic variety, especially around Wolverhampton and Birmingham, you couldn't drive much freight. This route gives you a lot more opportunity for freight, especially with us having new freight locos out in TSW6. And compared to then other parts, so obviously West Coast Mainline South, which is very different, it's very hectic in that southern part. Obviously varying services for the 350, but again the Pendolino, I think it gets about 25 minutes, 30 minutes to Milton Keynes from Euston. And again, there's no real stopping patterns in there, so it's great for the 350. I think West Coast Mainline South, I think the biggest feedback I ever saw on West Coast Mainline South is the 390 kind of had, I think the runs were a little bit too monotonous for people, where we felt Trent Valley gave that variety. You know, one of the runs that Matt's going to do in a bit, you come out of Stafford, and then you'll stop at Lichfield and Tamworth, so you'll go into the slow lines for a bit in the Pendolino, then back to the fast lines before then ending at Rugby. But then, like I said, there are services that go non-stop from Crewe to Milton Keynes. some that you pick up at Nuneaton and drive to Milton Keynes. So there's a big variety really in what you can do along the line. That's why we felt it was something a bit different. You've got 2 tracks, you've got 3 tracks, you've got 4 tracks. There's a good variety as well along the route, we felt, in that sense, so which is what we aim for really, Jan.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Chronicle Toxic asks, why can't you have trains spawn at 125 miles per hour? The short answer is physics. Because of the simulgraph system that's going on underneath it all. Yes, you could spawn the train. Yes, you could, kick it so that it starts moving at 125 miles per hour. But with Train Sim World, all of those systems on the train are simulated. So having the brake pressures at the right point, having the engines or the traction motors doing the right things, and as well as all the levers and switches in the right place. Some of that's easier, some of that's less easy. And doing it for one speed is one thing. Doing it for any speed you can start from potentially with slightly different presets that you need to support you to that. Bottom line, very technically hard. Not with the way that the simulation is here, because simulation isn't baked in TSW. It's trying to recreate as much as possible of the interior. You can't magic a real train in and have it suddenly start moving at that sort of speed either. So if anything went wrong with it, then what would happen is the minute you touched any lever, the train would start behaving weirdly or very, very weirdly. That's why we've not tackled that problem. We looked at it originally and decided that was going to be very difficult to solve.
Trying to think if there generally are any other games or simulations that allow a physic objects like a complicated physic object like a vehicle to be spawned at like high speeds.
So TS Classic does. I remember when we added that capability into TS Classic, and it's difficult to use, error prone. When it works, it's great. Yeah, I think even the team stopped using it because they found it too difficult. Because essentially, the way that it was done on TS Classic was essentially it creates a save game. So you drive the train up to the speed that you want it to spawn at, and then hit save, and then it would go back to that starting point essentially, and resume the train setup. Now, TS Classic has a much simpler physics system than TSW, so it would be orders of magnitude more difficult to do that in TSW. But yeah, TS Classic did it, and with varying degrees of success.
Chronic, I don't think so. I think Dan, you and your team are looking forward to a route that's shorter than 108 miles for your next project. I don't think you're gonna try to beat that record anytime soon.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've just seen the question saying, will we make even longer routes? Absolutely no. So we're not going to be making longer routes. We've seen actually that the community seems to like shorter routes. I mean, if we have a look, we are constantly watching what comes out, the reaction to releases, and actually there's been some really good reaction to some of the releases over the last 18 months. And we've had some quite short routes over the last 18 months as well, and some of them have been really popular. So, for our kind of second year's worth of releases, there are no 108 mile routes planned. Maybe combined if you add our projects up together, but not in one single project now.
I think that is more than fair to want to lower your cortisol levels when working on a project.
It adds a lot. Having a route that's 107, 108 miles like this, as Dan was saying earlier on, you end up with scenarios that can be 2+ hours long. And I know someone in the comments said there's nothing wrong with a 2-hour scenario. And you know what? I don't disagree with you from a player perspective. What I will say is the vast majority of players don't play longer than 45 minutes, according to the telemetry. So that's kind of the sweet spot. Is most players see most success if they can do it within about a 45-minute period. But from a development perspective, a scenario gets kind of exponentially longer depending on how long, as you add 10 minutes to a scenario. It doesn't get, a little bit longer to test it. It gets inordinate, an order of magnitude more time to test it. So you end up finding that the amount of time you can save and actually create something shorter but more high quality versus a 2-hour scenario, which is going to take a very long time to get it tested in QA, because in that process you'll run that scenario so many times, even before it comes from Dan's team into the QA team here. They'll be so sick of that scenario by the time they finish running it 20-30 times. There we go, TSR coming up. Yeah, there's significantly diminishing returns above, I would say, an hour.
I think that's why we like this. When we had a look at what the timetable could be on this, everyone just naturally thinks Crewe to Milton Keynes. If you look at the 350, it's an hour and 37 minutes, but actually there's loads of shorter hops in there as well. There's some nice 20 minutes, there's 30, there's, like I said, I think the Pendolino one that we're doing in a bit is 45. There's some nice variation freight. You can do anything from about 10 minutes up to, like I said, I think there's some 2-hour 20s in there. I think Kieran's put some full Milton Keynes to Crews via the fast lines in there. There's a couple in there so that people do want to drive freight all the way they can. So there's a massive amount of variety in there in terms of time. If you do want a big long drive, it's there. If you do just want, like you said, Matt, I think the research that is out there is that somewhere between 45 and 60 minutes is the main kind of play time that we aim for. So we've got to make sure as well there's plenty around that. And even now our scenarios are over the hour mark. I can tell you the first time we opened them from our scenario artist, some were over 2 hours. So we soon called them back.
The other thing I find is that sometimes some of the stuff that our team have made, where I see the list of when they're putting the proposals together for the content, and the first draft might have a 2-hour scenario in it because it's full end-to-end run or something like that. And she's like, how are you going to keep that interesting for 2 hours? Yeah. Just making a train go from point A to point B is not interesting. You got to put tons of AI in there. You want to put signal checks, line swaps. You got to do all sorts of things to make that interesting. And a 2-hour scenario is really hard because like I said, towards you get to where you're going to be finding the majority of your faults will be in the last 30 minutes of a 2-hour scenario. I guarantee you. The first 20 minutes will be polished and perfect very quickly, and then you're playing 90 minutes at a time over and over again to get to the bit that's broken to see if you fixed it. No, I definitely advise the team, and that's what they've been doing of late, is create up to an hour of killer, an absolute awesome scenario, because that's a lot more fun at the end of the day, and that's the whole point of this exercise. Chronicle Toxic, no plans to update the 390 at the moment, but it's something I personally would like to see, but there's no plans in the schedule at the minute. Is there any possibility of merging West Coast Mainline South and Bakerloo line? No plans to do that whatsoever. You can use route hopping to jump between the two. If what you want to ride is the Bakerloo line, you can ride the Bakerloo line and then switch to West Coast Mainline. If you want to ride West Coast Mainline, ride that. We put everything from Queen's Park up, and we just didn't include the underground section. West Coast Mainline route was that one, particularly with the southern half of it around London area. That one was very challenging on memory because of all of the complexity of traffic and signalling already. I'm glad we didn't add the other bit into Bakerloo line. We talked about it because we would have probably caused a lot more problems, a lot more crashes and instability. So it was the right call not to do it. Luke's dad, old jobs become tedious, it's not a train driving exclusive. True, but if someone is giving you a piece of gameplay that's created and curated and crafted, then you're going to kind of hope that it's an interesting 2, 3, 4 hour, however many hours of gameplay it is. If someone is saying, I present to you, it's like if someone gave you a book and it was all the same word, you'd be like, well, could you not put a bit of effort into this? And like use different words and made a story or something. I know, weird idea. But it's so, whereas if a shorter scenario, you know, and like I said, 45, 60 minutes is what players really tend to prefer, and it's where they show most success. And it really is, it's like it falls off a cliff beyond the hour. All of a sudden no one's completing and succeeding anything. Yeah, rather to put the time into something smaller and just make it amazing. You've always got the service mode for, you know, the day in the life types of journeys. And as Dan said, there's some lovely long journeys available in service mode. So it's not about shying away from the long one, it's about giving really good variety.
Dan,
Stephanus. No, sorry, you go, yeah.
Dan, can I ask how long you've been working on this route?
We started June, July, and we, as most people will know if they watch the 805 stream, entered QA on whatever day the 805 stream was. So that was kind of late-ish January really, so yeah, it took us about 6-7 months to develop it, so we did it quite quickly really, and then we kind of tested it. We did a lot of testing ourselves. Most people in the community know that we had our own beta team for this route. We haven't for any other product, but for this route we did. We also tested it a lot ourselves, and then obviously it went through the usual QA process as well. So we've kind of backed it up a lot more compared to the original process. But yeah, dev time was around about 7 months, and then it's gone for about 5 months worth of testing. So.
Ooh, AWS. I don't know how to do that.
Did we get a Met special here?
Was that an OSS? Maybe that was an OSS, because I am coming up to a red, but wasn't that fast. No, I've got to wait for the timeout. Oh, if I'm going to break the train, it's always in the last mile.
Wouldn't be a Dovetail Games stream if we didn't have a emergency brake.
There it goes. Approach control signal, Jason. Yeah, but I didn't get an alarm in the cab, which OSS would have wouldn't give me an alarm. So I can only assume it was OSS. By OSS, I mean TPWS overspeed sensing.
Can't spad if you can't move. That's true. The safest way to drive a train is to not move at all. Mm. While we were waiting at this red light, let me look through my list of questions here. Would it be possible to show services without fog? We've done that. Will there be any major changes made between the live stream and the release? We talked about this at the start. No. We've seen some. We've seen a lot of questions about console performance as well. We're gonna get to those when we're doing the Xbox segment. So we're gonna one of the services we're playing later is going to be played on the Xbox, and we're gonna indicate that by the handy little overlay you can see at the bottom left right now saying currently playing on PC. This is going to switch to currently playing on Xbox.
Spoilers! You're giving all the magic away.
You know, just in case you didn't see that bright yellow overlay. So I'm not ignoring those questions. Don't worry, guys. We're just gonna ask those questions and answer them in the appropriate section of the stream. I think that makes sense. Let me see. I think what we can talk about, like, just general performance. Obviously, this is a very massive route. It's the longest UK route with 108 miles. And if you've paid attention to the top right corner of the stream right now, you can see the current FPS. This is the Steam overlay, showcasing the current live FPS of the game that's running. And it's a constant 60 FPS. It looks great. I want to say I've not spotted any blurry textures so far, which is always a good sign. So yeah, I think.
Just to be clear, on this is on my PC, which is a 4080 with I think 16 gig of VRAM, and I'm running in 4K. I'm streaming at 1080, but I'm running at 4K, and the video capture card is downsampling it.
Obviously, especially on PC, performance will always depend on your system, but still, I think the results speak for themselves here.
We have done some more work at Crewe, and obviously we know it was a big issue on Birmingham to Crewe, and we've done further work as part of the Trent Valley, which we've also tried to obviously port them back onto Birmingham Crewe as part of those patch releases, improve some of the materials, the textures, etc. Also had a look at the scenery.
Ketchup man, I'm using a 4080. Sorry, Dan.
No, that's okay. Also, like I was saying, we also looked at a lot of the scenery as well around the area, and tried to reduce down to what we feel is absolutely necessary, just to try and give people the most optimum performance. The biggest problem at Crewe we've always found was the track, the sheer amount of track and OLE, and there's not a great lot we can do without reducing the quality of the track, which we then didn't think was fair for people with higher spec PCs, etc., lowering the quality of the track. So
right, so we are on to the 807.
Yes, the 9G23.
That saves me looking at 9G23. And we'll avoid the temptation to put fog on. The APT is right the other end of Crewe. You can't see it from anywhere that you'll go past. It's not in, so it's not in the route. It would be quite a lot of work for something that you rarely, if ever, see. Right, so let's start by doing the do. Andrew, Xbox Series X. Well, the Xbox gets the full timetable, and there is a reduced timetable. You can choose whichever one you want, whichever one we find is working best for you. Series X, we're finding the runs the full timetable great. Series S, probably you want to be steering towards the reduced timetable. PlayStation 5 seems fine on the full timetable, but everyone's got both. So, you know, if you prefer super duper FPS, for example, and shorter load times, maybe you prefer the reduced one, but everyone gets the choice. Wilberforce, I've not tried it with the PVC Pro yet. I don't see why it wouldn't work with the door panel, but I haven't tried it with the PVC Pro yet. It works fine with the 805, so I don't see why it wouldn't work on the 807. Right, off we go. Let's have a look around the outside. Turn the game up a bit.
Please familiarize yourself with the safety notices displayed throughout the train.
We're on our way to Rougebie, that famous place on the West Coast Mainline.
This is British Transport Police. If you notice something out of the ordinary, speak to a member of staff or text us on 61016 and we'll get it sorted. 61016. See it, say it, sorted.
just a few questions about the 807 in terms of what it layers onto. So yes, it does layer onto Euston, Milton Keynes and Birmingham to Crewe on the Avero timetables.
It must be you, Chronicle Toxic. I've just looked over on ABS and then I'm at 0.0% frames missed and 0.0% frames skipped. Seems to be maintaining the bandwidth quite nicely.
Yeah, just looking at it on my end, and the stream on YouTube looks good, and Twitch as well.
I don't know why it popped up saying I didn't do AWS, guys, because I did. You heard it activate when they put the pull to reverser. Non-stop run down the line, well, run along a bit of the line. Yeah, okay, let's do speed set. That's over on here, isn't it? How do I do speed set?
It should be through, so NTMS through the miles per hour in the top bar.
Oh, here we go.
And then you need to, you turn it on, set your desired speed, and then press confirm.
So I need to set 120, so -5, confirm. Still not on.
I know Control R. Try Control R. See if it's got 2 keybinds too.
Oh, I'm over speeding now. Slow down.
I think you have to press the. I think it's a long press on the button, Matt.
Is it a long press? Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. So is that on or not? It comes back off again as soon as I release the click. Let's see what it does. It's on full power. Oh no, it's got the power.
Yeah, it does. I don't think it actually highlights when you do it. I think you just press on, you set your speed, and then press confirm, and it should just set it.
Set speed, press confirm. See what it does. Amazed Taste? Yeah, I've been playing Running Train. It's very good. Nope. Is there a master switch or something you need to turn on the back panel to enable the speed set? Am I missing a step?
No, I mean if you try turning it off again, if you just go back to the screen, and then turn it off. So cancel that speed first, and then turn it off. Turn it back on again, and now set it, and then press confirm.
Oh, I missed an AWS switch that I cut. Oh, okay. Ooh, seems to be holding me at 110. Yeah, seems to have done the trick. I can't easily know. Not while the train's moving.
It is the one thing with speeds. As I said, if you're driving an 807 or 805, the speeds change constantly.
We did have some more questions on our forums. This one is a bit more technical regarding timetables. And it's asking, is it possible to have one universal timetable instead of several?
No, I think Matt explained that one, didn't he, at the start? Whilst the layers function's there to help reduce the number of services in, it still fundamentally loads the full timetable and what that entails. So whilst it helps to a degree, it doesn't do everything that we need in order to cut out some of the memory. So that's why we have a more reduced timetable and a fuller timetable, to give people that additional option. So whilst removing layers on a full timetable can help, to really get that optimized timetable, we need to have a separate one. I assume it means that, Jan, rather than things like West Coast Mainline South, where we have about 5 or 6 different timetables.
Yeah, I think so.
I can stand up now. Right, I missed something apparently. Ah, there it is. Better. Now I'll have proper AWS.
A few other bits that we've probably not mentioned on the route yet, so which kind of go unnoticed because they end up becoming kind of standard. So rail singing is on the route. Obviously that's a relatively new feature the last few months. AI horn implementation as well. So there's a couple of places along the route where we've put that on the track. Obviously, again, a bit like neutral sections, the trains also need to have it. Again, we've put it on all of our trains that we've worked on. So not every single train will sound its horn at an AI horn location, but if it's an 807 or the 350s or the 805, then they will sound their horn as they go through. There's a couple of random places like Wolverton, the train spotting point we've got at Heamies, some of the freight yards have it as well. I think near the Lichfield HS2 works, we put some there as well. So we tried to utilise some of the new features that have come out this year as well.
Question from the chat. Any tilting on this route for the Pendolino?
Oh yeah, absolute max.
This section of the
150.
route, isn't it? If I remember rightly, isn't this like one of the most iconic bits for the Pendolino? Because you're kind of doing, I'm waving with my hands, you can't see it, but you're all over the place with it.
You are, but even this section where you are now, when you go through Weedon, there's quite a few places. It actually slows down to about 100. I think it slows down to 120 for a little bit. There's a few places through here. I mean, this part of the West Coast Mainline is cluttered with fantastic tilting action for the 390. So, but you're right. Yeah, that bit up between Shugborough Tunnel and Stafford, yeah, is quite well known as well. but there's a couple of places throughout the route. There's a nice one coming through Rugby as you come on the down fast underneath the bridges. So yeah, quite a few good places, Jan, on the route.
Nice. The route is 108 miles long, making it the longest UK route in trains and world. Someone saying performance is a bit mid. I would disagree. If you check the top right corner of the stream, that green number is the current FPS, which is, looking at it, averaging, I would say, like 60 FPS. I've seen it dip down to 57 at points, but I would say
frame
that's
locked
still
at
very
60,
good.
by the way. The machine's capable of going higher, but I frame locked 60 because my screens are 60 hertz and we're only streaming
And
at
it's-
60 FPS.
Yeah, and it's also in 4K,
Yeah.
which
Yeah, if I run this machine at 1080p, I can get about 200 FPS. Which is pointless because I don't have more than 60 hertz screens. So.
George in chat is asking, will the announcements tell you to board the front 4 at, and I hope I pronounced it correctly, Etterstone?
The short platforms, no, it doesn't. So it doesn't tell you on the train that only the front cars. I don't think the announcement system's set up quite for that yet. We haven't come across. I think we'd have to do a fair bit of editing to make that work. So no,
that's actually a feature in the announcement system, so it might be something I need to talk to Adam about for a potential next round of updates on it. Monty, yes, I'll be doing an Xbox run. We're doing a 66 next on the PC, then we're doing 390 on the Xbox. In terms of graphics card, difficult to say at the moment with the the problems with obtaining graphics cards these days. Obviously, the more the better. I generally only use NVIDIA cards personally, but there are other people out there that really enjoy using the AMD cards. From an NVIDIA perspective, I would suggest get the latest generation you can, so the first digit. So mine's a 40 series, and then get the next digit as high as you can. So something like a 4070 is going to be a really good card. I've got a 4080, but the price goes up rapidly. So, and they're stupid at the moment. The price of graphics cards is ridiculous.
Just for anybody interested, that was Kilsby Tunnel just.
Is that the one with the vents?
That's the
I
big
looked
one.
away.
Yeah.
Then I have to catch it on the stream then.
Yeah, if you're on console using AMD processors and AMD graphics. .3080 will do brilliantly, Dr. DeLorean. I mean, the machine that I'm streaming from, so the one that's running OBS, that's got a 2080 and that ran the game beautifully, still does. And before that, it ran a 980 Ti, which also ran the game beautifully. So, in all honesty, a graphics card ending in a 70 or an 80, or even a 60, to be honest, is going to be fine.
I personally made the switch to AMD when I upgraded my PC last time, and I'm very happy with the 9070. But apart from brand loyalty, I couldn't tell you which one's better.
Yeah, I think your pantographs failed, Matt.
Oh.
I think you just need to press it up. I don't know. To be fair, at this speed, you'll coast into.
I was just
rugby
thinking
anyway.
I wasn't going to worry about it too much. It's more about stopping at this point than going.
Another question from chat: are there any special liveried 390s like the Pride or Climate ones?
So there is a special livery for the 807. I think it's we roll together. We did request the artwork for it, but we were unable to get it. So there's no special livery. Also, when I showed my train artist, he was very much of the pass opinion when he saw the very vibrant colour of it. So no, just the standard Avanti livery.
There's always the Creators Club and livery designer though.
This is for the 14 Avanti West Coast service to Birmingham New Street. The next stop will be Coventry. Whilst at the station, if you see something that doesn't look right, speak to our team or text the British Transport Police on 61016.
You say that about 750 Ti, Monty, but the TSW dev team were on 750 Ti for a surprisingly long time. Surprisingly capable card, actually, given its age. Right, now we are doing a 66.
Correct. The 4E49.
4 Echo 49.
Daventry to Doncaster.
Yeah, it's only a short one. This one just to rugby, so it's only I think it's about 10 minutes, 10-15.
Four Echo 49. Clearly not that 66.
Yes, that's correct.
Any idea which 66 I have to pick?
I think is it the DRS? I think is it.
Aha. 4 Echo 49.
Just do, yeah, I was gonna say, just do the bottom one. But that proves nicely that you can do the shunting around as well to get them ready before they leave, so that's all in there as well.
We're on the other end. We're on number 2 end. That one. all on. Tail lights off, instrument lights on, desk light off, cab lights off. Put it on daytime lights. Those are all good. What brake timing have we got? Down the arrow. Can't tell. Let's have a look. Passenger brake timing. What trainers have we got? Yeah, that'll be fine. That should be fine for passenger brake timing. That's just basically how fast it lets the air. It controls the airflow in and out. It's really odd that they call it passenger because it's never for passenger trains. It's kind of like you want to use goods timing if you've got like lots of small vehicles, because then it takes a lot longer for the air to change. So you need to control the air at the front. Otherwise, you end up locking up part of the train before the rest of it's dealt with. It's what it's doing, for example. Brakes are cutting. Good. Good to go.
We got a request when we get to Rugby. Can we do a quick walk around there?
Sure.
Don't know if you want to just show on the map, Matt, what's available at Daventry, but we're in the main yard here. You've got the sorting sidings down to the right that are in there as well, so there's a bit of shunting that you can do in down there, and then there's other parts of Daventry, as you can see, to the west as well. It doesn't go all the way around. Daventry is huge. There's other sections around the far end as well which aren't in there, but yeah, there's a 2 or 3 different places that you can do shunting moves in, etc.
Doesn't need more 66s. Whoever said that. Dr. DeLorean. What it needs is a nice 70.
Am I sensing some kind of tease here?
I knew we'd get that question at some point. The person that can hear a level crossing, yes, you can. There's a level crossing alarm as you come out of Daventry.
I presume that's what the...
It's just back a bit, Matt. It's a little red box, yeah, just down there.
That was what I'd noticed as we were going past.
If you keep going straight, if you turn around, head towards the bridge, there's a little post with a red speaker on it.
There it is.
There you go.
I thought I saw something.
We only picked that up in a cab ride. There's one at both ends of the terminal.
Danny Boy, it's the same temporary speed restriction system that comes from the core game. So there's just the one, and it's got some randomness issues, and it's not very good at picking random numbers, which is an issue I've got on the list for the team to look at.
People asking if we could get the Tesco license.
No plans for that at the moment. I mean, the licensing team make lots of inquiries to lots of different companies, but actually what we found is that container companies understand what we're talking about far less than even train operators do, and they generally don't even reply, or if they do, they don't get it. So that's been proving very challenging by the fact that you'll see there aren't very many real operators. Not for the lack of trying. The licensing team have been working really hard to see if they can get more licensed container companies on board, but doesn't seem to be happening. Ooh, just switched mode.
George is asking, Dan, what's your favorite station on this route?
Ooh, I think Rugby's a good station. Obviously modernised 25 years ago, completely remodelled. Anybody that knows what the old Rugby was, it was basically an island platform with the fast lines on the outside. It was totally remodelled as part of the West Coast Mainline modernisation programme. So I like Rugby. It's quite vast with its, quite wide with the platforms. The up lines on one side, the down on the other. So yeah, I really like Rugby. It's quite good for the fast lines are 125 through there. There's a good mixture of stopping and express through there, really.
Yeah, there you have it. Could we not just call it Pesco? Making it legally distinct would work, but to give a bit of more serious answer, we obviously want to make the representation of brands as realistic as possible, because many of our players want a realistic experience, and what we've seen a lot is that fictional content is usually not as desirable. So we obviously you have some fictional brands in there, like the Dovetail themed, like the Dovetail. What's the Dovetail chocolate? What was it called? You can buy at the like station kiosks, that kind of stuff.
I can't remember.
Or like the Dovetail cafes and stuff like that. But when it comes to like approximations of real life brands, we would like to be realistic, instead of offering a like legally distinct in quotation marks alternative that might not be to the liking of our community. I think
Cole, we'll be
product
running
placement.
on Xbox next, Cole. Sorry, James.
Yes. Just to answer Mr. Tooby, I think product placement deals would put us into a whole different pot of like hot water like that that would
Complexity.
make
Let's call it
things,
complexity.
yeah, that would make things for our licensing team, uh, let's just say much, yeah, as you say, much more complex. Maybe not a living hell, but yeah. And it's also just from like a player's perspective, seeing like real life ads is not really desirable. Like imagine yourself playing the game and then getting like an ad. I think we tried to do that.
We tried to do that with BidStack, and it actually, when it worked, it was actually really good because we'd set it up so that it would only give appropriate ads. So you'd only get British ads on British routes, German ads on German routes, and so forth. And you could pick which ads would come along there. So when we reviewed the ads, we were like, well, that's not really appropriate for our UK routes. Then we could just have it not show up. The problem was that 99 times out of 100, they didn't have any stock for ads. So you just get generic nonsense coming up, which was no use for anything. So, you know, it adds. I found when it worked, it added some nice authenticity, and it was a way of getting some real brands into the game, you know, without having to go through the usual hoops. But it just didn't. It wasn't consistently reliable enough, and most of the time, it looked like it was just broken. So we took it out. Ejected from chair.
Can we do a quick run around in rugby?
Oh.
Just to honor that request from chat. And look at the station.
No.
If we kidnapped.
I've been kidnapped. Get me out. Guess not. Bye. That was rugby, folks.
I mean, alternatively, we can maybe do a
Ghost
quick.
train.
Oh no, it's a Ghost Rider.
Right.
Maybe we can do like
just
a.
go to free. We'll go to free roam.
Yes.
Or, sorry, to walk on
there you
foot,
go.
and we'll have a look around.
Yeah. And after that, we're going to do our service on the Xbox.
Yep. I got the Xbox booted up. Ready?
So you can look forward to that.
Oh yeah, I could have used walk on foot, shouldn't I? The transport, teleport, fast travel. That's the word. Fast travel. That's the word I was looking for. We got there in the end. Rouge B. There it is. I'm not sure where we are.
Hard to tell, really.
It's hard to tell. This looks awesome. Any use of the BR logo I'm a fan of.
Are there any nice little Easter eggs in rugby, perchance, you would like us to look at, Dan?
Not really. I mean, it's one of the more vaster areas, like I said, to explore because of how wide the tracks are. Kind of both ends really. Like you've got the sidings to the north as well, and kind of like the goods loops as well, where you get some freight starting or stopping as well. It's a nice little place to wander around where you've got stock kind of going past at some speed. So you've got the obviously network rail, or we can't say network rail, access rail, for licensing purposes up on the right hand side. Obviously lots of collectibles, etc. to collect, yeah. There's 200 on this route in total, so...
Oh, wow.
That is a lot.
It is
Collectible
when...
fans fill your boots.
It is a lot when one broke and we had to find it.
It's like on average, it's about like one collectible per half mile. I think that's a good average.
So you got. I mean, I think we detailed these out already, but you've got the rugby ball. Obviously, these represent rugby, the home of rugby. Wheel set for all the works that have happened at Wolverton over the years. We've got a narrowboat in a bottle. There's a lot of canals that go down this route. You'll cross. I think there's around about 5 or 6 maybe in total that you'll cross over or intertwine. There's quite a bit on that stretch between Rugby and Milton Keynes that you go alongside at times and up towards Nuneaton. We've got the 807 there in the very similar to what we did with the APT. And then we've got the spud. So we've got empty food packets that you collect, and there is a spud in. Anybody that knows a certain particular spud person in Tamworth, you'll know why we did it.
They were all raving about it when we went through Tamworth.
I'm just going to smile and nod and act like I understand. I think this is the first preview stream that I'm doing that is not a German or Austrian route. I feel like I'm getting typecast by my co-workers.
Every day's a school day, yeah,
I learned something today.
So there's quite a bit of rugby. You've got some of the sidings off to the left here as well, and it curves around the corner. Like I said, there's quite a bit to walk around and explore both ends. Really, quite expansive. It's one of the bigger areas to explore. Really, rugby.
I think trains screaming is a purely German feature, Candace, I'm afraid. From my experience, the UK trains have always been much more polite. They've treated me very well.
It's the longest UK route, ladies and gentlemen. There aren't that many routes globally longer than this one, but there are. So, yeah, biggest UK route there, in one stretch. There is another route that's I think longer total mileage, but it's not in one go. So there's other bits to it.
I think Kassel-Würzburg is
Kassel-Würzburg,
longer.
I think, is the longest.
It's the longest in total length, but for the UK, this is definitely the longest. Yes. Longest scenario, I think from what I remember, was over an hour, like 90 minutes total, I think. Yeah.
Hour and 40, I think, was the very longest. Hour and a half, hour and 40, I think, was the longest.
But some of the services go on even longer. Right, well, we've done our 10,000 steps. We've run around Rugby a couple of times. Right, shall we switch over to the Xbox?
Let's.
You've got to rely on the technology all working here and it not all just going kaput. Hang on a second. Fingers crossed.
Through the magic of technology, we're now going to live on the air switch footage, as you can see here, beautifully timed, to the Xbox.
Right, I'm just gonna Bring the chat back up so I can see it because my monitors have been changed. Right, it's a HDMI switch. I've got probably the most needlessly complicated setup where all the devices, all my consoles and PCs and things go into an HDMI switch. HDMI switch goes into an audio extractor, which goes down to the amplifier and to my other set of headphones. The audio extractor goes out to the capture card. The capture card is then, so, yeah. You know me, if there's an easy way of doing things, there's a Matt way of doing things. Right. And here, what service are we doing?
It was a Class 390. Service was 1R12.
I think it's a -1, I think, is it?
I couldn't remember. I was doubting. Oh, there it is. Nicely ticked.
And just as a note, this is a Xbox Series X, and just like with the PC stream, in the top right corner, you can see the current performance showing the FPS, which is, as I said, disappeared because we're currently in a loading screen where it doesn't show that.
I'll
as soon
press
as we-
F3 once it's there. There you go. So you can see it.
There it is. Yeah.
It is the full timetable as well. It's probably worth noting. It's not the reduced timetable I think we're playing on.
Yep.
Yeah. So as we mentioned, this is going to feature both a full and a reduced timetable, and we're currently playing on the full timetable, and you'll be able to pick which one you would prefer, and if you are on Xbox Series S, we would recommend choosing the reduced timetable, but in the end it's up to you. It's your decision on how you want to play.
The vigilance switch? Did I miss one? DSD. Which is the other one I need then? Oh, over here. Vigilance. That'll be that one then. Thank you. So this service is about 45 minutes. So
45, and you've got that nice little bit in the middle, really, where you turn off the fast lines onto the slows for about 10 minutes to stop at Lichfield and Tamworth, and then back onto the fasts to Rugby.
George, you can select the full timetable on Series S. Your mileage may vary on how you get on with it. I think I'd recommend the reduced timetable on Series S. This is a big route. It takes up a lot of memory, and all those trains take up a huge amount of memory. And the Series S doesn't have much memory, but it is there for you to pick. If you find it crashing to death, crashing to the home, that just means it's running out of memory, and you're better off trying something different.
I was going to say, I think to put it into context, I think there's about 27 Pendolino formations alone on this route, which is an incredible amount of memory.
Joshua should be fine on PS5. I mean, it's a PS5 outclasses the Series X. Controversial perhaps, but it does. And this is it running on the Series X. By the way, if anyone's looking at picking up the Steam controller, I've got one and it works fine with TSW on PC. Works really well actually. I've been really impressed with it. Seb, I'm on Series X.
Note for the future, I should probably have added which Xbox it is to the overlay.
I'll tell everyone it's an Xbox One, they'll be super impressed.
360 actually.
It's not an Xbox One typically, it's a Series X.
Before we end the stream later, can we take another look at the full list of timetable services?
Yes, I did. I demonstrated it to my wife. It was quite revealing. I learned new things about my wife while I was showing this to her, because initially I didn't realise you had to be in big picture mode. So I was there throwing the controller at the couch, and she was like, "What on earth are you doing?" I said, "Well, you can make it scream." And she's like, "Hey, well, if you want to make it scream, you need to hurt it more." I'm like, "Okay, wow." But yeah, it turns out if you're in you have to be in big picture mode on the host PC, and then when you drop the controller, you get the Wilhelm scream out of the controller. It's quite funny.
I did not know that that's a thing. That is hilarious.
Mr. Tubi, you need to use the operations shift, which is the X on the Xbox controller. I don't have a PlayStation controller to hand to tell you which button that is. But yeah, you press and hold. If you press the hold normally, you get the high. If you press and hold the X button and press the horn, you get the other one. But it's the one on the left-hand side, wherever that is on the PlayStation. I mean, there's 3 PS5 controllers behind me, but... Same, whatever that button is in the same. Is it cross? No, cross is on the bottom. Square? Is it square on the left hand side? Yeah, square.
Yeah, it is.
So square, press and hold square, and then you click the left joystick.
Right. So we did get a few questions regarding the console version in particular, which we wanted to talk about during the console segment when we're showcasing the console version. The overarching question we've seen for this is just generally what the console experience is like and what is compared to PC. Just to again quickly remind you that this is currently being streamed on Xbox. This is a Series X, and you can see the current performance in the top right of the screen, showing you like the FPS and the I think that's the desync. But Matt and Dan, do you want to talk about the technicalities of console versus PC here?
I mean, I'll take the first part of it. I mean, it's not even console versus PC. I mean, there's, you know, in my household we have two PCs that are totally different performance. You know, people use laptops and try and run it on older PCs as well. You know, there's a variety. There's no one shoe fits all, is the way that I look at it. And we've got various consoles from obviously Microsoft and Sony. We've got PCs, which obviously come in so many forms and fashions as well. And the thing is, you know, we said it when we first started out. We were going to tackle we were going to tackle challenges, and we were going to kind of challenge the norm, and that's what we tried to do. We haven't gone and done, you know, a 20-mile route with, you know, a couple of trains on. You know, like I said, there's 27 Pendolinos running on this route alone. That's an incredible amount of memory. You know, like I said, production was about 7 months, and then it's gone through 5 months of honing that through testing, both internal testing and then through Dovetail's QA process. So, you know, there's a lot of work in that alone. You know, people might sit there and go, 7 months of dev work. No, the 5 months that we've gone through testing has been just as onerous as the 7 months of dev work, if not just as frustrating. So we tried to hone it as best we can. We tried to optimise it as best we can, whilst trying to give players who play on high-end PCs and PlayStations and Xbox Series X, etc., who want to experience a dense timetable, high-quality trains and stations. You know, we still tried to give that, and that's why we give the two versions of the timetable, to help the player adapt to their system and what they want. I think, like I said earlier, some people are happy getting 25-30 FPS as long as they get the full experience, you know, the full timetable, really good settings, whereas other people would rather really good FPS, so they lower their settings. You know, that's been something that's been said before about lowering down to 1080p. We're not sitting here saying it's what you have to do, but, you know, we're also trying to deliver an incredibly busy, populated product, trying to give an immense amount of gameplay and trying to meet it with the game limitations, and but not optimize it too much that then we lose some of that immersion for players. So I think it was very similar to what we spoke about earlier, really, Anya. We've tried to give a couple of different permutations for people to play around with, other than the core systems such as the layering and the settings. You know, that's what we've done with the timetables. We tried to obviously optimize the route itself as much as possible, and the trains. I know Kieran's done a lot of work, you know, with you, Matt, in the last few weeks, having a look at memories of trains, etc., and we've got a really good idea now where we stand, a lot more than we did before Birmingham to Crewe. So there's been a lot of work behind the scenes, not just on the route development side, but to try and understand permutations a lot more, so that we can advise people better, that we can adjust things on the timetable better to try and give people that better experience, really. So I think that's from my side. I don't know if Matt's got a more technical point he wants to go through, but that's what we've done from a development side of the route.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that actually came in right towards the end of this this testing process, actually, we've developed one of the team developed a new tool. The same person on our team that did the I talked about auto testing and things like that in the past, and we've now got a tool which gives us a pretty accurate view of how much memory trains take up. And Kieran and the team were using, I was sending him like early outputs from that, and Kieran and the team were using it to go in and make tweaks and changes, including that we found through the tool that the Pendolino uses somewhere in the order of, when we started, it was somewhere in the order of about 420 megabytes of memory in total for all the textures, bearing in mind it's a big train. And when they finished their optimizations over a couple of iterations, they dropped 60 megabytes off of that, which was awesome. Because the Pendolino has always been a hungry resource train, and that's all on texture pools. So this is one of the things that you'll find, that the Pendolino, and anywhere that uses the Pendolino will be benefiting from that improvement that Kieran and his team did. So using that tool has been really good, and we're continuing to build and develop that tool. And the idea is at some point soon we'll have it actually doing a weekly scan over the entire collection, so that we can see if anything changes as well. When it changed, how it changed, why it changed, and use that also to go back through and work out where we can do further optimizations to bring things down. It's also been really interesting to compare and contrast, finding in one instance a locomotive was 450 megabytes of memory, and whereas a comparable one that's in training center was 100. So it's kind of like it's interesting comparing that. Now, there was a lot more detail on the other loco, and at some point you either want to spend the memory on more detail, or you don't. There's a trade-off there. It's not necessarily bigger equals bad, but it's definitely, particularly when it comes to blurriness issues, which is literally because there's too many big things trying to load into the texture pool. This is really useful information. So that tool has been really interesting and really useful. And Kieran and I were working sometime when testing builds and so forth into the small hours sometimes, and trying different things, because I've got the dev kits here. So we are trying to work out or get something set up now to where third-party developers can directly access dev kits on our network themselves. And I think that's what Kieran's been doing actually towards the end, hasn't he?
Yeah, last few weeks. Obviously, we've been doing a lot of Xbox testing. So obviously, we've thankfully you guys have provided the dev kits for us to have a play with, and that's really helped. What it's really helped with is allowed us to really, especially on the reduced timetable, to really optimize that timetable. To get the best possible timetable. So rather than just taking a bit of a look guess at what to remove, that's allowed us to really pinpoint more specific areas that we need to optimize throughout the day, or specific areas. So yeah, that tool's been really helpful. And like I said, it highlighted the theory we always thought along, which was that the 390 was one of our biggest issues, and 60 meg may not seem a massive amount to most people, but if you think a Pendolino, I think it was a 420 and 466 meg.
Yeah.
I think the 9 and the 11 car, and knocking 60 meg off.
It's huge.
Off that, it's huge.
But for no appreciable drop in quality, to be said, that's not sacrificing
exactly.
quality. That's just literally, what can we trim down that no one will even notice? And getting that much down without making a drop in quality is really, really good.
I think all Kieran did is compress the files in a different way, and I think that's what knocked the 60 meg down in the end. And like I said, it may not seem a huge amount, but over 27 formations, that's the equivalent of losing three or four formations entirely. So suddenly we've gone from 27 to 23, and it's that level of work that's gone in over the last few weeks that has hopefully paid off, so that players on lesser performing consoles and PCs can hopefully see a much better experience than they did on the early releases of Birmingham's Crewe.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you wanted to sum up what is the difference between the release of Birmingham Crewe and the release of this one, it's that the team have spent, I would say, literal months doing little more than testing on an Xbox and improving and honing and refining and getting feedback from the QA team, testing themselves and working out what changes they can make to, as you say, keep it as strong as possible, but also make it as robust and keep the graphics looking as good as possible as well. And it's running beautifully. So hats off to the team. It's a tough challenge. You know, it's actually relatively easy to make an asset. It's really hard to make an asset that's really efficient and looks as good as the other asset. That's really hard. Making a route that's this big, you've got all that track database in memory and the landscape. So you're already starting from a sort of a setback point in that instance, because you've got less memory to play with because it's being taken up by that. So you know, it's just a testament to a lot of effort has been put in there, a lot of care. I've had some really inspiring conversations with Kieran, actually, you know, where he's described some of the sort of the mindset he's been trying to get the team into in terms of the value of polygons, being careful with every polygon, with every texture, and going through. Yeah, it bears fruit. It's so I'd say the team have really learned from Birmingham Crewe and put a lot of effort into on this route. So certainly, Dan, my respect out to your team. It's they put a lot of work into this, and hopefully everyone's seeing that. I wrote 56. The beauty of it is those improvements affect everybody's machine. As Dan was saying, you've got, you know, 2 machines in the house that are wildly different in spec, and not everybody, and I'd say the vast majority of people are not using high-end game machines. The vast majority of people are using the machine they have, and it running well on a Series X, and all the time spent making it run well on a console. It's not really just about that. Oh, hello, a Light 37. Nice. Cross that one off the list. What it does is it helps everybody who is on an average PC also get a better experience. You think the full timetable will run on a Series S? It's there for you to find out for you what you think of it, George. I wouldn't bank on it if you have all the layers, for certain. You've got to remember the series. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, was the thing essentially saying the same thing you were going to say? Remember that the Series S isn't as powerful as the Series X, but yeah, either way, the console version will have both timetables,
yeah,
and you'll be able to play the way you like, and you can certainly give it a try. But again, we'll need to realize the limitations of the Series S.
Yeah, just to put that into perspective, the Series X and PS5 have 16 gigabytes of memory, whereas the Series S has 10. It is quite considerably less memory. And there's a slightly more complexity there in that the way the Xbox Series X does it, it's only got 10 gigabytes of fast memory and 6 gigabytes of slow memory, which actually makes it inferior to a PS5, which has got 16 gigabytes in total of fast memory. So that's why you'll find that even the Series X players, not on this route necessarily, but in the forums and so forth, you'll see Series X players experiencing blurring where a PS5 player isn't, and it's because a PS5 player has technically got 6 gig more memory even than a Series X player. That was kind of a realization that Kieran and I came to while we were going through the testing process on this route and trying to work out, you know, why is this so hard? There is 16 gig to play with. Why is this so hard? Because we were getting problems even on the Series X, and it was that realization that it might have 16 in total, but for the key things that we need to do here, Unreal's only using 10 of it. whereas it's using 16 on a PS5. So it's an interesting comparison. I hadn't fully sort of realised that difference. I knew about the different speed memory, but naively I assumed it would just, use the slow memory when it needed it. Whee! Something cool about a train overtaking you that's far better than a train that's going in the other direction. Oh, hello! You did say the cross countries were there.
I think that's a double as well this time in the morning.
It's gone already. Oh no, there it is. Should there be a PC version and a console version? I mean, you'd virtually be talking about building the game twice. No one does that. It wouldn't make sense. And you don't need to be honest. I've still got the engineering team looking at the core game to see what they can find, and they've made some reasonable areas they think they can make some dents in the core game memory usage. So I'm still waiting to see how that pans out, but we've still got a bunch of work going on in that, as well as continuing to look at content work. So it's always onwards and upwards. Parallax, the vast majority of games it probably doesn't matter as much. TSW has a very heavy memory requirement because of all the simulation, because all that track data basically. Normally you only care about the bit that's loaded in around you, but because all of that track exists and all of the trains that are running on those track exist, that's an awful lot of memory that other games just don't care about. Anything beyond what you can see isn't even memory. So that's one of the reasons TSW struggles a bit more, is because it's just literally doing more. But in order to maintain the whole network. Yeah, the Pendolino. Kieran and the team did some work on the Pendolino, as we were saying earlier on, and made a decent chunk of saving on it, which is really good. Helps this route, but it helps every route the Pendolino is on. Dan, are there services that you can try for the 220?
I'm trying to remember if there are. There's potentially a couple between Crewe and Stafford, very similar to the Birmingham Crewe route. There was a very small number that you could drive between Stafford and Crewe. I think it's like first thing in the morning. There's one that goes via Crewe from Manchester. Other than that, primarily AI at Tamworth. And obviously at Stafford, because they come through and go off through Norton Bridge.
What improvements to the 390? Texture optimizations. Mikey mentioned the times that the PS5 is more powerful than the Series X. It's not more powerful. If anything, the Series X is more powerful than the PS5 in terms of raw grunt, to use that term. But the way the Xbox Series X manages its memory is it has 16 gigabytes of memory, 10 gigabytes of which are fast memory for use with graphics and high speed, the stuff that happens a lot. And then it's got 6 gigabytes of memory which are used as a low speed memory that are used from other things. And Unreal will for a lot of the stuff that's going on in TSW, it really is. It's using that 10 gigabytes of memory. A PS5 has one chunk of high-speed 16 gigabytes of memory. That's a big difference. That's a very big difference. So even though they both say they have 16 gigabytes of memory, how that memory is structured and what it's used for, both by the operating system and via Unreal Engine, means that the shape of what they can do and how much they can have is different. Back up to 125 now, on the way to rugby. The Pro has upgraded CPU, GPU. It's got a little bit of extra memory, but not a lot. But we're not actually using the PlayStation SDK that unlocks those features. So it's just the ones that they because they do grant. You do get extra. It does run better on a PS5 Pro, but we're not doing anything to use for PS5 Pro features, if that makes sense. I mean, it'll be the same, Mikey. It'll be kind of the case for any game, because unless the slow memory does what it wants fast enough, it'll be wanting to use that high-speed memory to keep the game running at high performance. I mean, the low-speed memory is meant for things that change infrequently, things that you don't need to have, fast access, particularly things which aren't going to impact the frame rate.
We did have a question from Intin about the doors opening, and I've seen this on the forums as well. Will they be able to be opened? Closed before departure, or just when or will you still have to wait for the prompts?
Yeah, so it's like the double instruction. That's and we know it wasn't particularly popular on Birmingham to Crewe. The problem is on really busy routes and where you've got junctions and crossovers. You think of Birmingham to Crewe with New Street, with Wolverhampton and Stafford and Crewe. They're all very busy junction stations. It's basically used to, in essence, by doing that, it's kind of holding that train in that platform, and it's not searching for that route until it's finished the second instruction. It's to kind of stop. It's to kind of give the timetable the dispatcher an easier way to prioritise what service you want it to do. So on a smaller timetable, where you're going to train maybe every half an hour, 20, 30 miles, then no, we wouldn't need to do it. But on routes where we've got constant crisscrossing of traffic overtaking, on this route, a 350 will be on the fast lines coming into Stafford, heading to Crewe. It will pull into platform 3, it sits there, and a Pendolino overtakes it, and then the 350 goes back on. Without doing that double instruction, the 350 would take priority because it was there first, and the 390 would park on the down fast and wait for the 350 to leave Stafford. So that's why the double instruction happens throughout. And it's just easier to do it throughout rather than for bit part services, otherwise it just gets really confusing. So yeah, we have seen that question quite a few times. I know I've watched a couple of Tintin streams, and I know it's something that he's not particularly a big fan of, and I know there's a couple of other people as well, not huge fans of it, but that's why we do it. It's to help with the dispatcher. Otherwise we would have problems left, right and centre. So hopefully that answers that.
It's not so much about trains leaving early, Jason. The problem is that the way that the dispatcher works is it's a first come, first served. So the minute the train finishes its objective to stop at the station, it's pretty much going to be granted. It's going to try and find its next path, even if it doesn't want it for 5 minutes, which means it can block up a completely a busy throat of a station with a booked path out. And all these, you've got 5 trains waiting to go that can't go because they've got red lights. So what this does is it stops the dispatcher, until it's ready to go, it won't allow it. It stops it booking that path in. This is a bit like we used to do something with a Dispatch Beyond. Does something is done for a similar reason. On the PlayStation Xbox thing, I don't think it's necessarily down to the operating system, because if you run a game that just sits inside the 10 gig of high-speed memory, in my view, the Xbox outperforms the PlayStation. I find the frame rates faster, more consistent. No, I think it was a cost issue of just getting 10 gigs of really, really top-notch memory and only having 6 gigabytes of the slower memory. And that's just the way that they've managed the costs of the console. So I don't know. I'm guessing. But yeah, it's in my view, it's a bad call. The same as I think Series S should have had the same memory as the Series X. It having less memory is the biggest challenge we have with the Series S. Is the fact that it's got that huge chunk less memory. Mr. Tubby, if you pull into the last station there's a way to not have to wait for the full timetable finish and doors closed. I need to check. That might be a core limitation that really needs to be fixed. It's awful. So yeah, that is on my mind to get looked at. Gosh, Durham Bridges. Do you feel that dropping Gen 8 for a number of new routes has helped with the development process? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It would have meant even more, a lot more time spent and some much more searching decisions trying to make it work. Make anything work. So no, it's basically that was what we said a while back, was just we would make the decision that if a route is just not going to comfortably fit on a Gen 8 without massively compromising the experience, there's no point doing it. You know, if it's not going to be any fun and people are going to look at it and say, well, that's not what I wanted, then why do it? It's better off not being there. So that's the decision we've taken, and the third parties have been taking as they've been working on things.
Was there any more from the Q&A, Jan? Trying to think if there was any more questions that we haven't answered yet that were on the sheet.
Let me go through the
While you do that, Red Robe, I assume you're getting that question based on watching a YouTuber's video. I left a comment on that video. There were a lot of errors. We already do level of detail based on distance away from the track. But yeah, read the comment that I left on the video, Red Robe, and it'll hopefully explain what was going on there.
Yeah, there's some questions left. Did you have a specific one in mind you wanted to go through, or should I just go through the list?
Just go through the list now. We're almost at the end of the last service. I don't know if, Matt, when we get to Rugby, I don't know if there's anywhere anybody wants to go on the route. in particular. I know we've created the Trainspotting location at Heamies farm. There's actually a spawn point there, so you can go on the map and spawn.
Well, let's do that while we finish up with any remaining questions then.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fine.
and remember, someone asked for a look at the full timetable and the list of services as well.
Yeah.
In the menu. Well, we had some questions about the QA, so the quality assurance process, and how that has potentially changed. And I think, Dan, you mentioned that you even did your own QA in addition to the internal DTG QA process. Is that something you want to talk about?
Yeah. I mean, I think we've already done quite a bit on this topic, but I mean, we've invested in our own software as well, so we use our own software to bug our products, and like I said, we brought in 10 QA testers ourselves to test the product. We raised internally just over 2,000 tickets for this route, so we alone have spent an incredible amount of time, and hats off to Shannon and Kieran for managing that system. It's been a lot to go through, so yeah, we've gone through a lot ourselves, and then obviously we've gone through the QA process. We've dovetailed, ironed things out, and then obviously we've gone through the last few weeks, especially we've gone through a lot of Xbox testing to try and really optimise that reduced timetable as best as possible, really. So yeah, I think we've already done quite a bit on it, but I think they were the only bits left to add.
All right. Questions about why you picked this route, something we went over already. The Killsby Tunnel also answered, why it's set in this era, how services will skip the Crewe station. We've seen some questions about blurry textures, and we mentioned the work you and your team have done about regarding optimization. We're currently playing on the Xbox Series X, and performance is looking good. We've not seen blurry textures so far. Of course, if you're very about this issue, and optimization for the core game is of course still going on. Make sure to watch like other content reviews on YouTube as well. But from what we've seen so far, like it is looking very good.
I think we want to be totally transparent though, yeah, and I don't want people to go away from the stream and think that blurry textures is a null and dead thing for this route.
No.
It is a very busy, long route with lots of trains, lots going on. So are blurry textures a potential? Yes. What we are saying is we've worked really hard over the last few weeks and months, which hopefully people are seeing on Birmingham's Crewe 805. I've seen lots and lots of positive comments. Some people still have some problems, and we totally understand that, and we're trying to work even further to see if there's anything more we can understand. Hopefully the 390 optimizations we've made recently. I think I've seen a post very recently in the last few minutes from Monty. Who basically, since the 390 optimizations, there's one service that always used to crash, now it's not. So again, we're hoping that all the optimizations we're doing are hoping to resolve the blurriness and also the out-of-memory crashes across the board. So we're not sitting here and saying they're gone. We want to be totally transparent with people. It is a busy route, but yeah, hopefully you will see a much better performing route than we got in the first few days of Birmingham to Crewe.
We've also, like I said, we've still got work going on with the internal core team, who are looking at where they can find, and they're looking at potential savings both on main memory, which would improve crashing, and on texture usage. So there are potentially other other improvements coming to the core game as well. So I don't want to make any promises about how much and when or anything. We're still digging through, but they have found some interesting findings, which tells me that there might be some more movement there. So we're still looking across multiple fronts. So it's all trending in a good direction is kind of the thing. But yeah, Dan's quite right to say we're not out the woods yet. But hopefully as you can see, the woods are a lot lighter.
Thank you. We got most of the questions from the Q&A thread. We had a few questions regarding different locos and if they would layer or be available on this route, namely the Class 90 or the cargo line nuclear layers. Answer for both of those is no, which is due to mount limits, and especially for the Class 90, the freight windows were already taken up by the Class 66 and Class 70. Any further details on that?
You've totally gone and given the spoiler away now. Yeah, me and Matt have done so well to keep it.
Yeah. All right.
And then right at the very end, you went and said it. What you should be saying is wait for next week's roadmap.
Well, okay. Talking about giving stuff away. I guess we're both to blame here. But that does cover, unless I missed anything, and if I did, I'm truly sorry. And for anyone on the forums, we're also going to leave a post on the Q&A thread answering questions. So if there are any questions that I missed that came in after the stream started, we'll try to get them answered as well if possible. But yeah, that's it from my little crib sheet here.
So a quick look around the timetable, and then we'll have a look at this train spotting location. I guess we'll call it there. No, we're not running a night run tonight, WI. Yeah, looking at the timetable now, Arif. Well, when it loads. This is another thing I want to try and get improved at some point. The load times initially and the load times back to the menu are ridiculous if you've got lots of content. Right, let me turn the game noise down a little bit. Let's go back to choose a route, Milton Keynes timetable. So we've got two timetables, 470 services or 402 services. I'll try and summarise, catch me if I'm wrong, Dan. Effectively, we've got all the 350s coalesced into one 350. I think Pendolino's might be somewhat simplified down as well, and then lots of the ancillary stuff just removed. So you've got 70s playable services less and a bunch of AI that's gone. But there's still there's an awful lot still playable on that reduced timetable. That's available on everybody. So if you're running an old laptop or something with a poor graphics or something like that, you've still got that even on PC you can use. And then everybody has the normal timetable, which has got everything on it, lots of stuff there. So if we look inside there, you've got the Pendolino 150, 153, 158, 323, all the 350s. We saw the 37 earlier on, light loco. Some 66s, and there's different services on some of the different 66s, so be aware of that. You got the Avero 805 and the 807 and the Voyager, two services. So someone asked about that earlier on. You've got those two, 20 minutes each. So Stafford to Crewe. Was that what we needed to show, Jan? On the timetable?
Yeah, I think so, if I remember correctly. They
right, so let's
just wanted another look at the timetable.
On foot with Oh, hello. No, that's pressed the wrong button. On foot. Oh, there you go. Heamies Farm.
Furious tapping of the buttons.
Yep. Oh, got someone else here with me as well. What have you been saying so far? Has it been good?
But yeah, we just wanted to create something where if somebody, people commented quite a lot that they quite like to do a bit of spotting on the route, but there's quite some vast gaps between parts of the route as well, and Heamies Farm is probably one of the most famous West Coast Mainline train spotting locations. So, knowing our joy now, Matt, we've chosen a time where there's no trains for 5 minutes. But
Oh yeah. Well, it'll take them a minute to get started at least. So, but yeah, there's nothing coming up that way anytime soon. No, it's going to be we're just going to call this track spotting, I guess.
But we just wanted to show that anyway,
Yeah.
as a place. It was something new we came up with for people to try out, rather than it being always station spawn points. So
I do like these. They're just like a little, Easter egg thing. Especially you'll spot it as you're driving by as well. Yeah, no, that's really cool. It's a nice touch.
well, we've got the AI horns set up here as well, so you'll get tones as well, and it can be set up differently on different lines. So you'll get a couple of different tones depending on what line it's on. So yeah, just one for people to try.
Yeah, very good. Right, okay. Let me go back to cameras. This is your 1 second warning that we're going back to cameras.
Let me just fix my makeup.
You don't need to fix your makeup, Dan.
Yeah, I'm naturally beautiful. Thank you.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's going to do it for us for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. We've been looking at the West Coast Mainline Trent Valley add-on, and to give you a little bit of basic information, this is going to release for PC, Xbox Series X and S, as well as PlayStation 5 on June 9th, so next Tuesday, less than a week away. Pricing is going to be £32.99 British pounds, €39.99, and £44.99 USD. It's going to be the longest UK route to date in Trains in World, and we hoped you enjoyed this preview. And a big thank you to Matt for driving. A big thank you to Dan for all your valuable insights. And yeah, I was also here. That's gonna do it for us. Have a good night, everyone, and we'll see you around. Say bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Train
Bye-bye.
hard. The train just went by on the Xbox, and we just missed it. But I got to see it. Bye, everyone.